again, everyone. It's Brian Murphy here, along with special guest Ben Goessling here at Winter Park, looking ahead to Week 4. Vikings have a key divisional game at Detroit, looking for a couple of things. One, their first road win of the year. Two, their first division win of the year. And three, their first divisional win since early 2010. So coming off a big win against the 49ers, a win nobody expected, and a win that's really given this team a lot of confidence. What's going to be the key to basically kind of keeping that momentum going, and really how big of a game is this suddenly in Week 4?
Well, I think it's a big one. I mean, when you look at what's going on in the division right now, obviously with what happened to the Packers on Monday night, everybody's obviously talking about that. So they're 1-2. The Lions are 1-2. Both these teams were in the playoffs last year, and if the Vikings all of a sudden win this game, the Packers have a tough one on Sunday against the Saints. You have a chance to go 2 games up on both of those teams and at least keep pace with the Bears, if not go ahead of them. So, it's obviously a big chance for them to kind of step out and make a statement here. As far as keys go, I think some of it is just, Detroit has been a team the last couple of weeks here that has made some mistakes. The Vikings obviously created some turnovers last week. We haven't seen them do that. So if you can capitalize on that again and get the take-give kind of margin going your way, that's obviously a big key to something the Vikings haven't done well for a long time, but they have a chance to do that if they can make Detroit make some mistakes. I think that's a great way to get started on the road.
I mean, I'm interested to see how they respond to a big win, because obviously they pulled out a win on opening day against Jacksonville, had a bad week of practice, kind of went into Indianapolis and really didn't play well at all in the first half, scrambled, got back into it, and then lost a heartbreaker at the end. So, coming off a big win, how are they going to build off that? What kind of a team are they going to be? I mean, I think they're still kind of creating that identity. So, I mean, this is a big test early for that. And the other thing is, too, you're looking at some injuries now that are kind of coming into play. Linebacker Aaron Henderson didn't practice again today. Second week, it looks like he's going to be battling concussion issues. So you may see Marvin Mitchell in that situation again. The linebacking core really had a big game against San Francisco. Chad Greenway probably played his best game, certainly of the season, and maybe in a couple of years, just how active he was. News today, too, that Kyle Rudolph has a bit of a thigh injury. It doesn't sound like it's very serious, but he wasn't out there for practice, and they've been using him. Him and Ponder have got some chemistry, and it looks like he's poised for a breakout here. What do you expect, if he isn't on the field or if he's going to be limited? They got Jerome Simpson coming back. What do you see the passing game at this point?
Well, that's going to be interesting, because obviously people are excited about Jerome Simpson. And Simpson, we were talking to him a couple minutes ago. He said he connected on a 60-yard go route with Ponder during practice today. And everybody kind of wants to see that come into the offense. But the way the Vikings have been successful in the last few weeks here is extending drives, making plays on third downs, not hitting things over the top as much. It'll be interesting to see if that suddenly becomes part of the repertoire or if they go to other things. And obviously Rudolph has been a big part of what they've done well, just kind of converting third downs, working the middle of the field, everything else. So if they don't have that, do they all of a sudden try to work on the perimeter a little bit more? I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting test. It's obviously a place where Christian Ponder struggled last year, and I think he talked a little bit with you about that today. It's an interesting test for him.
I mean, as a rookie, he basically hit rock bottom in that game in mid-December. 3 interceptions, he got injured. He was pretty much out of sorts, and it looked like the game was kind of flying by him. So I think he's anxious to go back there and prove his worth. He seems to be, he's been able to keep drives alive. 5 touchdowns, 4 through the air, 1 on the ground. No turnovers for him this year. So he's been able to emerge as not only just a solid game manager, but a guy that can make some plays too. And it's going to be interesting to see if we see John Carlson line up opposite Rudolph and maybe get a pass. He hasn't made a reception yet through 3 games. He was nursing an injury, but for $25 million, he's been a pretty expensive decoy at this point. But the running game too, I mean, Peterson, they still have him a little bit on a pitch count. I think he had about 25 carries, which afforded Toby Gerhart some opportunities toward the end to milk the clock. Didn't work out so well. How did he kind of respond to that today?
Well, he talked a little bit about that today, just about taking care of the ball a little bit better. He said it's as simple as when you're in a contact situation, putting 2 hands on the ball. I mean, there's nothing terribly advanced about taking care of the ball. It's obviously just being aware of the situation you're in, and when you're anticipating contact, kind of being prepared for that. So, I mean, it's something where I think he just kind of needs to keep that in the back of his head and not worry about it to the point of getting scared by it, but also just kind of know that teams are going to be going after that. When they know you have a history of fumbling, they're going to be trying to strip the ball out. And particularly a team like the Lions that plays aggressively on defense, their front 4 obviously has been disruptive in a lot of ways. So it's kind of just something he has to be aware of.
Gerhardt's fumbles also created a nice Keystone Cops kind of routine for the replacement officials who had some issues, not only trying to get replay, but also awarding Jim Harbaugh and the 49ers an extra challenge that they didn't have. It sounds like there's progress being made on that front. We should see the regular guys back on Sunday, which would be probably a relief to a lot of people in the country. So anyway, big game week 4. We'll be analyzing it after the game in Detroit, and Ben will be joining us there, at least for the foreseeable future. So for Ben Goessling, it's Brian Murphy for TwinCities.com.